Okay, so let's talk about experimental and theoretical probability again. This time, I want you to pay attention to how, as the number of trials increases, how does my experimental probability change? So first, take a look at the green columns here. This is my theoretical probability. This is where we figured out this part right here. Where we said, okay, you should like the number of combinations that you get out of rolling 2 dice. You can get a 2 one way, you can get a 3 2 ways, a 4 3 ways, and so on. There's 36 combinations, so your probability of any one roll theoretically is the number of possibilities divided by 36, the total. So what we're looking at here is just those fractions, those theoretical probabilities. And then to the left of it, we have that in decimal form, okay? So those are the same fractions, but in decimal form. Now what I'm showing is one group's experiment. So this is Meow's group, and in his group, they did a total of 52 rolls, because you can see that adds up to 52 right here. His group never rolled a 2, they got a 3 twice, they got a 4 9 times, and so on. So here's the experimental probability from this one groups of data right here. And as you'll see, they both add up to 1 at the end because that represents 100% of what happened. So if you just compare the two numbers next to each other, you'll see that they're not the same, but they're kind of close. Some are closer than others, right? So what happens as we add more data? So what happens when I add the next group? Now I've almost doubled the amount of rolls. I've got 94. And compare how these numbers look. Some of them are actually closer. Let me put in a bunch more data. Okay, now I put in a whole bunch of groups. We're up to like 320 total rolls. And take a look at our percents. They're closer than they were before. Our probabilities, these are in decimal form. So let me add even more data. I have some data from like fake people. So if you want to take a look at this, just pause it. Okay, here's where I have 824 total rolls. So this is as if I had all this many groups. And they rolled that many times. 824 times. And if you look, our experimental still doesn't perfectly match the theoretical, but it's a lot closer, 0.029 and 0.028. These are kind of a little far apart, but not too far apart. That's like 10% and 8%, right? If you're thinking about these as percents, there's like, here's 12% and 14%. So basically, the more trials you do, the closer your experimental data will come to your theoretical probability.